What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the next part in building the Spotify app series. In this part, we're going to be building out the screen that shows us what's in an album. So pretty similar to what we did for playlists, but this time specifically for albums. So get started by just drawing the like button down below as per usual. Let's jump into our workspace again. And first and foremost, let me go ahead and hit that play button so we can compile and make sure I haven't broken anything since I did the last video, fingers crossed. All right, awesome. The other thing I'm going to do, because I keep forgetting to do it, and I guess we'll start with it, is let's add section headers to each of these sections here, because right now we just have these albums, which I believe are new releases. We have featured playlists and these recommended tracks, but it'd be nice if there was a header for each of those, because otherwise the user doesn't really know what the heck those sections are and they look a little random. So we had added a header in the playlist view controller. So if you recall, on the actual section layout here, this NS collection layout for the section, we have a boundary supplementary item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and we're going to go back to our, I think I called it home view controller. Yep, home view controller. And let's go ahead and find where we have gone ahead and created that section. It's actually right here. And we're going to add it to each of these sections. Now, we're going to, instead of being redundant about it, what I'm going to do is I am going to, up here, we're going to say, this is, let's say, supplementary views, just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the layout size in here. So we are going to say that the width is fractional of 1, which is good. But we are going to change the height here to be an absolute height of, let's say, let's go with perhaps 50. And we can always tweak it and see what it looks like. But now what we can do is in each of these cases, what I'm going to do is we're going to say section, whoops, we're going to say section dot supplementary boundary views. Let's see, we want, or rather boundary items, and we can just assign it to the array that we declared up above, just like that. And this way we can just do this for each of the sections and don't have to redundantly create that item. So I'm just going to take that and copy and paste it here. And we're going to continue down to this bottom one here. And I think I skipped this one right here. And now we need to actually create this custom header view for each of these sections. And all we're going to really put in it is a single label, which will be the title. So let's see, we went ahead and configured this to be at the top. So let's go ahead and create this header view, and then we'll register it to our collection view. So I'm going to open up views, and we are going to create a new file. And this new file is going to be a Cocoa Touch class for a UI collection reusable view subclass. And I'm just going to call this a title header collection reusable view. That's okay. We can call it that. Go ahead and create it. First things first, we're going to add our static identifier. I'm going to override the initializer with the frame. So super init, pass in the frame. We're going to give it a background color to match the system background. We also need the required initializer, just like that. We are also going to need to be able to configure this. Now, I'm not going to actually create a view model for this because all we're really configuring this with is a title. So it'll just be simpler if we just say configure with title, which is of type string. No need to wrap this title into another view model. You can if you want. It's a little subjective, but anyways, we're going to continue. We're going to say layout sub views. We're going to say super layout sub views. Now on this actual view, we're going to want a single view. It'll be a label, a single sub view rather, I should say, which will be a UI label, just like that. Let's go ahead and create it. We're going to return it here. I'm going to say label.text color. I'm going to make this a secondary label, so it's a little bit of a lighter color. You can play with that and have it be whatever you'd like. But let's go ahead and say number of lines is 1. And I'm also going to go ahead and give this a font size. We'll say it's a system fonts of size, let's say 18, and let's go with light, and let's see what that looks like. And the first thing we're going to do in the initializer is add this guy as a sub view. I'm also going to go ahead and assign the text to be the title. And of course, we want to give it a frame as well. So we're going to say the frame of this guy is going to be CZRect. X will say 10, Y 0, width minus 20. So it's centered. And then let's see, height, we're going to say height. So let's go ahead and register this to our collection view in the home controller, and we're going to dequeue it for each of the sections. So let's see where we set up our collection view, probably somewhere at the top here, right here. So we are going to say collection view. We're going to register a class for a supplementary view. So here is the class. Here is the identifier. Whoops, I think I messed that up. This is supposed to be the identifier, and this one is supposed to be the type. So we're going to say UI collection view, element kind. We want a section header, just like that. And now we can actually go and dequeue this view. So let's see where we're dequeuing ourselves so we can keep all of that code in the same place. Ignore my antivirus pop-ups. Let's see. All right, here's all of our collection view dequeuing business. So at the bottom of this extension, I am going to add view for supplementary view. And we are going to say let header is going to be collection view, dequeue supplementary, reusable supplementary view with a kind and an identifier. So we're going to say the kind is going to be kind. Identifier will be the name of the class, identifier. Index path will be index path, pretty straightforward. We also want to go ahead and cast this as the appropriate actual class, but it looks like I messed this up. Let me paste that again and say .identifier. Let's go ahead and cast this as that type, and we're going to convert this to a guardlet. So let's create this as a guard. Otherwise, we can go ahead and create a generic reusable view and return it. I'm also going to guard that the kind that we are trying to go ahead and get is the header and not the footer. So we're going to say kind equals UI collection view, element kind, and it already knows we want a header, so it auto-completed for us. Finally, we're going to say return header, and we're going to say header. We can configure it with a title. Let's just call it home because we don't have the title at the moment, but we're going to add it in just a second. So what you'll see now is we have this header at the top of each of these sections. I think it can be a little larger in font, and maybe we can move it to the right a little bit. So let me jump back to this view and let's go ahead and tweak that. So first things first, let me actually call this label text so it's not that light, and let's make it 22. And let's take a look at the layout here. We'll say this is maybe 15 in, and we're going to subtract 30 now. Go ahead and give it a run. We don't need that extra hyphen. Let me delete that. Go ahead and give that a run. Okay, it's starting to look a little better. You can tweak it as you see fit. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but we do want to go back and not hard code this to be home. So we can get the given section from our sections. It gives us the index path as a part of this function. So what we can say is let section is index path dot section. And from our actual sections collection on here, we can get the given element just like that. And let's see, we're going to say this is, let's call a model because I can't think of a better term at the moment. And this sections, if we scroll all the way up, is an array of these enum values, but these cases here don't really have a title associated with them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add a computed property on here, and we're just going to switch on self, and we're going to return the appropriate title based on what value we're on. So this one will return something. I'm just going to copy and paste it and just change it. We can ignore the view model associated type for each of these cases. So for new releases, we'll say this is new, let's call it new released albums. This one will be featured playlists. And this one you can call recommend did, just like that. This might be a bit of a long name, but whatever at this point. Let's go back down to where we are setting up that header. And now what we can say is instead of being modeled, this is our title. And from our actual section, we can get its title and pass that into there. And then we can hit Command R to build and run. And we should have unique titles now. So at the top here, we see new released albums. We've got featured playlists. And these section headers are a lot more for some reason, maybe it's just me, but they really tie your UI together so your sections actually have some meaning instead of them kind of just being random. Next thing we're going to actually do, which is the focus of this video, is let's go ahead and do what we did here for playlists and albums as well. So what I'm going to actually do to start with, which might be slightly cheating, is I'm going to copy all the code in the playlist view controller, and we're going to drop it into the album view controller, and we'll tweak it as we need to. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to copy all of this good stuff. And let me go to our album view controller, should be somewhere here. And what we will do is we will start by just pasting it on. Let me delete this last one. We'll paste it right, use line break right there. Let me go ahead and delete stuff. So we don't want a playlist here. We do want a collection view, so that's cool. We already have an initializer up above, so we don't want that. Let's see, view models. We're going to need that, but we'll probably need to change it. We already have a view did load up above, but what we will grab out of this view did load is some of this stuff. So currently in view did load, all that we are doing is fetching the data for the given album and setting the title and background. But what we do need to do is configure all this collection view stuff. So I'm going to grab all this collection view jazz and we will paste it into the view did load up here, if we can find it. All right. So here is our view did load paste. And let me also start moving stuff up above. So we've got this collection view and our array of view models. So let's go ahead and put that on top of our class here just to start organizing things a little bit. Let's see what else we do in here. So if we successfully retrieve our model, we go ahead and assign our view models and reload the collection view on the main thread. So what I'm going to do is we will copy or cut rather all of this stuff. And I'm just going to paste it on in right there. We're already on the main thread. We do want to say weak self here so we can use self optional and not actually have a retained cycle. All right, looking good, looking good. You might want to comment this out for a moment because it's going to yell at you because the types don't match. We're going to print out the error if one does occur. And let's see what else is going on. We also have this share button. We do want to also allow folks to share a given album. So I'm going to copy and paste that one as well. And everything else I think we can keep. So let me just delete all these line breaks. Let's go ahead and tweak the rest of our code too. Let's go ahead and line break that and that. And let's see. So we've got did tap share. That one looks good. Did tap share. We're saying playlist.external URLs. This should be album. And I think the album has external URLs, maybe not. Let's see. The album has an ID, name, release dates. Looks like it does not have an external URL. So what I will do is I will just get rid of this share function. Nobody can really share the album, which is totally fine. Then below that, we're just laying out the collection view. We want to go ahead and change the extension here to album view controller. Number of sections. We've got view models here, which is looking great. Let's see, album view controller. Let me make sure this is the right one. At the top here, we'll say this is album view controller. Okay, that looks good. These look good as well. It should compile at least, even though we might need to change it. That one should be okay as well. I'm going to go ahead and comment this header stuff out for a quick moment. And let's see, here we have did select. We're not doing anything with that. And this one will also be album view controller. Let's go ahead and hit Command B. Let's see all the errors that we get here. What happens? Okay, so we don't have any errors, which is good. That's a good start. Let's see what we actually need to do to get this to work. So our collection view is creating a section layout here, which should be okay because it looks pretty similar to the playlist view controller. This is basically what we want our album view controller to look like as well. We go ahead and create the controller with an album. We set the title. We set the background and add a subview. We configure the collection view. We might want to change the name of this header so it's a little more generic. We go ahead and assign the delegate and data source. Once we have fetched our data, what we want to go ahead and do is convert the model here. Let's see what the model has. So the model has, I believe it should have tracks on it or items or something like that. Yep, there are tracks on here, and this should have items. We want to go ahead and convert this to the given view model. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and uncomment that. That is not what we want to do. Is it not going to let me uncomment? Okay, there we go. Let's just do Control I to fix the indentation. And here what we're doing is we're saying model.tracks.items, and we're just compact mapping it. And it looks like this track is different. So this track has, let's see, it has a name on it directly. And we want to get the name of the artist. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So let's see, this is artist name. We'll say $0 dot artist.first.name. Otherwise, we're going to coalesce to a dash. And this last one here is the URL for the given artwork. So we are going to get rid of track there. It looks like that's good as well. And let's see. So we're configuring the cell there. That should be good. Let's go ahead and uncomment this stuff here. Whoops, that's not what we want. Let's go ahead and uncomment that. And here we are going to change this. So this is going to be album.name, which is valid. Now we want to know the owner's name, which I guess we can use in turn with the album artwork. So we can say album, rather the artist name, .artist.first.name. The third one here, we want a description. So we could use a release date here. So we'll say album dot release date, which is a string. What I'm going to do is I'm going to interpolate this into a string that's release date colon that actual string. And finally here, we're going to say album dot images first URL, otherwise empty. And we're just going to configure that. So let's go ahead and give this a run. That was pretty quick. I'm surprised I didn't hit more errors. And let's see if we can get something rendering. So we open this up. It has a single track in it. It's by 24K Gold. Let's go ahead and open up a different one. Here's a different one. I see one issue. One issue that I see is the release date isn't really formatted nicely. The artist looks good. The title looks good, even though it's truncated. And we, of course, don't have our thumbnail images for the given cell. So in an album, we could choose to, not even show that image, or we can show the album one that's up here. So let's see, let's not be lazy and let's create another cell for this. So what we'll do is, since we're already using that recommended cell, what I'm going to do is, even though I just said we're not going to be lazy, I'm going to copy this whole cell and we will just simply get rid of the image. So I'm going to create a new one here. It's going to be let me just create a new file and make my life easier. We'll say this is a album track collection view cell, just like that. Go ahead and paste that in. And let's see, so let's go ahead and change this to album track, collection view cell. Change the identifier. You could alternatively, instead of getting rid of the image, you could replace it with a number label. So instead of having an empty space here, it would say 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But we're just going to get rid of it since it's probably easier. In the configure, we're just not going to assign that. Get rid of that album. All right, we also want to go ahead and import UIKit here, which I guess it didn't give us since we just created a raw Swift file. And the most important thing that you want to go ahead and do is, after we get rid of this, is adjust your layout. So in our layout, we have the album cover image view being assigned, which we don't care about. What we're going to change this to be is, instead of using the right value, I'm going to say this is 10 from the left. And let's see, for The artist, this will also be 10 from the left, which is the X. And let's see what else we want. We have content view width that we're subtracting this from, which we don't care about anymore. So we'll say minus 15. And I'll also delete that up here. All right, which is looking good. Hit Command B, make sure you don't have any build errors, which we do not. Beautiful. Let's take the name of this class, jump back to our album view controller, and we just need to register this one instead of the recommended one. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. I'm also going to change its identifier. And let us see what else we need to do. We need to dequeue this particular cell. We need to change the actual identifier, and the configure stuff is still the same. I'm slightly cheating because these view models are playlist view models. Let's get this working and then we'll adjust that also. So let's go ahead and give this a run. Let's go ahead and tap on one of these, and we now don't have that extra space on the left for a given image because it kind of doesn't make sense to show the album image over and over. It'd be kind of weird. So these albums are just singles. So they only have one, but these ones have more tracks in them, so you see all of them. So looking pretty good. What else do we want to do? So I mentioned the date, and I also mentioned we cheated with the view model. So let's create our own view model for the album cell. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and we're going to just put it into the view models folder. Let's go ahead and close all this jazz up. Let's open the view models. We're going to create a new file in here. We're going to go ahead and call it a album collection view cell view model. And we're just going to paste on in that. And we're just going to rename this. We'll say album collection view cell view model. And now what we can actually do is actually just get rid of the artwork since that cell doesn't actually even have artwork. And let's just go ahead and use this guy now. So we can first jump back into our views, back to that album actual cell, change the view model type here to take in the appropriate view model. And then let's come back into our controllers, and under other, we're going to go back to album, change the type of this array to hold your new view model. And we're also going to change this here. So this is going to be our new view model now, and we can get rid of artwork just like that. Go ahead and hit Command B. Let's see if we have any errors. Looks like we do. Let's see what I screwed up here. So let's see, album, collection view, cell view model. Why is this yelling at me? Unexpected, comma. Let's get rid of that comma separator. All right, building. All right, we're built. So go ahead and hit Command R. Make sure that everything is still working as expected. We still see everything. Beautiful. And finally, let's take a look at this string here. So there's a concept of using date formatters, of turning strings into nicer, well, first of all, turning strings into dates, and then turning that date back into a more appropriately formatted string. So the format of this is the year, the month, and then the day. So I think we created a file originally in resources called extensions. So we're going to open that up, and I'm going to come down here, and we're going to first create an extension on date formatter, which is going to have a static formatter property. So I'm going to call this date formatter. The reason it's static is because we only want to create this once, because date formatters are particularly expensive objects to create in memory over and over. So it's probably beneficial for us to just do it once and just save it statically. But what we will do is we'll say this is a date formatter. We are going to return the date formatter, and the formatter's date should match the format that is supplied by the API. So we'll see here, we need 4 numbers for the year, 2 for the month, and 2 for the day. So this will be 4 for the year, 2 for the month, and 2 for the day. I think this is lowercase actually. We'll find out in a moment. And let's see. So we're creating a date formatter here. We need an equal there. Go ahead and hit Command B. Your error should go away. And even more interesting now, what we want to do is let's create an extension on string, and let's create a static function called formatted date. And this is going to take in a string. And the first that we're going to do is create a date with that string. So we'll say date formatter dot date formatter. And we're going to say date from. We want date from a string. So let's see if I can find it. It's date from string, this first one here. And then this function is also going to return a string. What we're going to now do is create another formatter up here that's going to format for display. So we'll say display date formatter. And for this one, we're going to have a different format. So what I'm going to say here is we'll say date style is going to be medium. And now what we can do is we can return here the date formatter dot display date formatter, convert that date back to a string. And for whatever reason, if it fails, we're going to coalesce it to be the original input string, just like that. And let's see, actually, we don't need to coalesce that. What we do need to coalesce, though, is this date, because it might be nil. So I'm going to wrap this as a guard statement. Else we will return the original input string back to the caller. So go ahead and hit Command B. Everything should still be building. And now what we can do, the reason that we set up all these extensions is for them to be reusable. But what you'll notice now is if we go back to the album view controller, where we set up that header view model, what we could do is we can say, instead of album.release date, we can say this is string dot date, or rather formatted date, and we pass in the string there, and this will go ahead and give us the appropriate looking string. So let's go ahead and hit Command R to give it a build and run. Let's tap on one of these, and now you can see we see February 19th, 2021, which is the medium style format. So looking much better. So now we have albums set up. We got rid of the share since I didn't save the external URLs. But let's go through a couple of these, and they're all looking pretty good. In the next video, we're going to jump into search and start building this UI out. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't liked the video already, please make sure to do so. Helps out a lot. It really shows me that you guys are getting value out of these videos, and I should make more. Definitely subscribe if you're into iOS and Swift. I post daily here on this channel. Lots of videos, take hours and hours to make, so I super appreciate it. And of course, if you have any errors, questions, comments, you just want to say hi, don't hesitate to drop a comment down below. I try to read every single comment and reply within a few days or so. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.